In a high-profile murder investigation, the police officer who was actually in charge of securing the crime scene wasn't even listed on the official dispatch records.
Wait, really? How does that even happen? That sounds like a huge oversight.
Exactly. It's like having a key player missing from the team roster. And when official records don't match what really happened, it raises serious questions about the accuracy of the entire investigation.
Yeah, I mean, if the paperwork doesn't line up with reality, how can anyone trust the rest of the case? That could affect whether justice is served or not.
Right. And today, we're breaking down how these kinds of small but important details, missing names on dispatch lists, forgotten statements, and even misplaced evidence, can have big consequences in criminal cases.
So let's start with Officer Robin Weaver. He was with the East Lambert Township Police Department, right?
Yes. Now, Weaver wasn't the first officer dispatched to the murder scene. Corporal Fosnacht actually arrived just seconds before him.
Okay, so Fastnacht was first on the scene. But then what happened?
When Detective Savage arrived, he dismissed Fastnacht and put Weaver in charge of securing the crime scene.
Interesting. So Weaver took over, but you said his name wasn't on the official dispatch records?
That's the weird part. Weaver insists he was dispatched and was definitely at the scene, but his name doesn't appear on the official list of officers sent to that call.
That's wild. Like, how do you get sent to a major crime scene and then not show up in the official records? That sounds like a serious record-keeping problem.
Exactly. It's a big red flag because dispatch records are supposed to be the official account of who responded. If they're missing key names, it makes you wonder what else might be off.
And that could affect the whole investigation, right? Because if you don't know who was officially there, it's hard to track who did what.
Absolutely. Now, moving on to another key point, the so-called dying declaration.
Right. That's when someone who believes they're about to die makes a statement, and it's considered especially truthful in court.
Exactly. In this case, Hazel Shaw, the victim's mother, reportedly yelled, "It was a setup, and Michelle did it."
That's a pretty serious accusation.
It is. There was also an allegation that Hazel said her daughter Laurie made a dying declaration identifying the killer.
So did Officer Weaver hear that?
Well, that's the thing. Weaver did not record hearing Hazel say that Laurie had spoken those words before Detective Savage arrived. When asked, he couldn't confirm if he heard it or not.
So he wasn't sure if Hazel told him about the dying declaration?
Right, and he acknowledged that if Hazel had told him about it, it would have been important to include in his police report.
But since it's not in the report, we can guess either Hazel didn't say it to him or it was overlooked.
Exactly, and that's a big deal because dying declarations can carry a lot of weight in court.
So missing that detail could change how the case is understood.
Definitely. Now, another curious detail is the telephone cord at the crime scene.
Oh yeah, I remember you mentioned something about that.
Weaver made several drawings and reports showing the telephone away from the victim's body.
But the photos tell a different story?
Yes. Photographs taken at the scene show the telephone cord draped over the victim's ankle.
So Weaver didn't remember seeing the cord wrapped around the leg.
No, he didn't recall that at the time. This shows how memory and documentation can differ, which can affect how the crime scene is reconstructed.
That's a good example of how even small details can get lost or confused.
Exactly. Then there's the blood evidence and shoe prints.
What's the story there?
Weaver reported blood stains and shoe prints in the hallway and near the victim's bedroom. He said the shoe prints were caused by medical personnel attending the scene.
Okay, so medical people tracked in the blood.
Right, but here's the catch. He didn't identify or collect shoe samples from those medical personnel.
That seems like a big miss. You'd want to know exactly who made those prints to avoid confusion later.
Exactly. Weaver admitted it would have been important to identify who made those prints, but didn't do so.
That definitely raises questions about how thorough the evidence collection was.
It does. Now, about the timeline and examination of the victim's body.
What happened there?
The victim's body was bagged and moved from the bedroom to the dining room early that morning. Weaver made a detailed examination of the wounds while the body was still in the bag.
That sounds unusual. Usually, detailed exams happen after the body is removed from the bag, right?
Correct. Weaver's report states the examination was at 11:41 a.m., but he admits he might have taken notes progressively as events unfolded.
So the timing and process are a bit unclear.
Yes, which again shows how real investigations can be messy and imperfect.
And finally, you mentioned a strange moment in the crime scene video?
Yes. During the video played in court, voices can be heard saying things like, "Smile, say cheese," and "Go in, Ernie, he'll take your picture."
That's unexpected. Not exactly what you'd expect at a serious crime scene.
Right. Weaver didn't recognize the voices or explain why those comments were made. It highlights the human side of investigations, but also raises questions about professionalism.
So putting it all together, these inconsistencies and gaps show how complex and imperfect real-life investigations can be.
Exactly. Police reports and evidence are the foundation of criminal cases. If they're incomplete or contradictory, it can affect the outcome.
And understanding these details helps us appreciate the challenges law enforcement faces and why meticulous documentation matters so much.
So next time you hear about a criminal case, remember, behind every report and testimony, there are human memories, imperfect records, and sometimes surprising gaps.
And those small details can make a big difference in the pursuit of truth and justice.
Absolutely.